Bring the City of Yamhill City Council meeting to order on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 at 6:31 p.m. May I get a roll call, please?
Has to be here.
Potter here.
Gordon here.
And two councilors have an excused absence, but we do have a quorum, so we will continue. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I have the great privilege and honor of introducing a new city administrator for the City of Yamhill. We have been in a recruiting process for years, it seems like, and we've had interim city administrators that have filled in for us in the absence of a full-time administrator. But now we actually have one, and I would like to introduce Shelly Reimer to everybody. Please stand so we can all clap for you. I'm very excited to have her. She brings a lot of skill and knowledge to the table. I think she's going to be a good asset for the City of Yamhill. I think she's got some great plans and ideas and ambitions and desires to see some forward movement within the city. And so it's good. She's already dived in. She's been here 3.5 weeks.
Three today.
3 weeks today. And she's been diving into everything. The pool has been deep and she's not quite hit the deep end yet, but she's taken in as much knowledge as she can and getting to know the city and all that comes with it. And so welcome to Shelly Reimer, our new city administrator. Thank you. Let's go ahead and start public comment. Is there anybody that has something for public comment?
I do, Mayor. My name is Robert Davis. I represent Yamhill Neighborhood Association, and I want to personally and communally welcome Shelly to our little town of 1,100 people. Thank you very much for your participation, and we hope you're here for the long haul.
Thank you.
Other than that, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Disfro?
That's in regard to item number 10, new business, Mark Club. The use permit for the review of our.
Okay, so you're going to be speaking during that time frame?
During that.
Okay, sounds perfect. I'll hold you over till then, sir. Ms. Perrin?
Nope.
And Mr. Phillips?
No. Is this my only chance?
For public comment? Well, I think you're on the schedule, aren't you?
Okay.
Derby Days, yes, you're on the schedule, sir. Mr. Brad Windecker?
No. No.
No? Okay. And Pam Kirsch, you're also on the agenda, correct? Okay. All right, so we'll just move forward.
There are a few online, but no one is raising their hand at the moment.
Thank you for checking. I do appreciate that. I will announce though, if there's anybody online who would like to speak during public comment, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and go ahead and speak.
No hands raised?
All right, we'll move forward. Closing public comment. City Recorder, any agenda updates or additions?
Well, the packet wasn't updated from when it was posted. I did do a preliminary agenda. There's a few changes from that. So just for clarification, I'll just list what I added to the final agenda. I added the introduction of the city administrator. I added a presentation for Derby Days. Removed a resolution that was unnecessary and added the city administrator highlights report under departments reports. But those are all on the agenda posted online and the agendas you have in front of you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, consent agenda. Does council have any questions regarding the financial statements or minutes from the February council meeting?
No.
No? Can I get a motion then for the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda
As is.
as is.
Morgan second.
Can I get a vote, please?
Askey, aye.
Potter, aye.
Corrigan, I.
Consent agenda has been approved. Oaths of office. Ms. Phillips, please join me.
Where am I joining you at?
Right here in the middle where
Oh,
you can
right
be
in the
seen on camera loud and clear.
It wasn't with the camera, you know?
Over here, so thank you very much.
Here's a
Glad
copy.
you're here.
I don't have my glasses on.
Well, I know we can't.
I'm good.
Okay.
All right,
I'm good.
I've shared with the
so
mayor.
raise your
before.
hand. City of Yamhill Oath of Office. I, Kathy Phillips,
I, Kathy Phillips,
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and the laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of
and of
America
the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill.
and I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
for the city of Yamhill
for the city of Yamhill
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I may continue in this capacity.
so long as I may continue in this capacity.
Congratulations and thank you for your service to our city.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What do you expect out of the Water Advisory Board? What is our goals?
Well, for me, I can't speak for the rest of the council, though I'm sure they'll have opinions as well. Is to continue what we started and see that continuing forward. There's been a lot that's happened between the end of the last water advisory and the beginning of the new one.
Okay.
There's been updates in the grant processes, updates in funding
Okay.
that's coming up. And so we want to kind of update the whole process of where we were and where we're going and where we want to be. I know that our public works staff has been working on intertie line information. And so all that will need to get kind of updated and then to move forward from
Okay.
there.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked.
You want me to sign this?
Ms. Patty Perrin, please join me. Front and personal, where they can see you. All right, after me, please. City of Yamhill Oath of Office. I, Patty Perrin,
I, Patty Perrin,
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws
of the United States of
of
America
the United States of America
and of the state of Oregon
and of the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill,
and I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
and I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
for the city of Yamhill
for the city of Yamhill
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I may continue in that capacity.
so long as I may continue in that capacity.
Congratulations and thank you very much for your service. Mr. Davis,
Yes, ma'am, Mayor.
front and center, sir.
Yes.
I, Robert Davis,
I, Robert Davis,
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws of the United States, America,
swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Oregon,
and of the state of Oregon,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Yamhill,
and I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
and I will perform the duties of Water Advisory Committee member
for the city of Yamhill
for the city of Yamhill
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I may continue in this capacity.
so long as I may continue in this capacity.
Congratulations and thank you, sir, for your service.
Yes, ma'am. Glad to be back.
That is always exciting to do. Presentations, Mr. Jim Phillips for the Yamhill Community Club Derby Days update. Please join us at the podium, sir.
Please introduce you.
Got one of our other community club members here with me. This is Brad Windecker. Did everybody get a chance? Did we get a chance to get any?
Yes.
Very good. That's kind of
Mr. Rickman?
just a quick one, yeah, what we've got going on. It's pretty much the same thing. We've got a beer garden going on and the cars will be there Friday. On my notes, one thing it just dawned on me, we probably haven't asked Chief Graven about a parade permit. I think that goes through you.
Yes, and my inside source with ODOT, I applied yesterday and he responded today and the permit is approved. So we're good to go.
Nothing to it, nothing to it. And we have our next meeting is on June 27th. I think it's 6 o'clock, but we're gonna do it at the park. So if anybody wants to join us for a community club meeting, we'll be at the park about 6. Kind of go through the, whatever else we got coming up for Derby Day.
What day, Jim?
The 27th, next Thursday, I think it is, last Thursday, June 27th.
2 weeks from today. For tomorrow.
Yesterday.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks, yeah,
Thursday.
Thursday. I'm pretty sure that's.
Biggest change to the schedule is there's no fun run this year.
Oh, there isn't.
No, because our fun run person stepped out of the committee.
Oh, no.
We're
And
fighting volunteers, that's always the big question mark.
someone else wants to do it, but their mother passed away or was sick or something, so they just didn't want to do it this year, so I'll be back next year.
Brad has been working on our new website,
Yep.
got the term right?
So the Yamhill Community Club now has a website you can go to. It's yamhillcommunityclub.org. And so the schedule for Derby Days is up there. We've got the directions of everything for people. So try to make it a lot more easy to find the information about Derby Days this year. So that's going to be exciting. And then in the future, the website will expand it to more aspects of what's going on in Yamhill and what we're doing about what's going on in Beulah Park and so forth.
One of the things we were trying to do is gather up, if anybody's got any pictures, past pictures of Derby Days, parade or anything like that, we'd love to get a hold of them, and put them on this webpage, so.
And then we're also dedicating the ramp this year to Lonnie
Lonnie Strode.
And the ramp has seen better days. And so it hasn't been painted in a really long time. There's a couple of, if you can imagine, it's a post with a ramp on it. So there's shims in there that closes that gap. A bunch of those are missing. And so I wanted to propose if the Yamhill Community Club could paint the ramp and do basic renovations to it. We're happy to pay for it, do the labor. But we just wanted to check with the city and see what the process is if we're gonna do like paint, put some screws in, you know, put some pieces of wood in there to make sure that everything works. So where would we start, do you think?
Jason's probably the first guy to go to.
Do you have any issues with them coming to you and
No, not at all. They would just have to fill out the insurance form.
Okay.
Policies.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah, we'll check with you before we, I think we have a date, one of the Saturdays to do something, but we'll.
Yeah, I'll pick a Saturday and ask for volunteers to come down and do it, yeah. And then if we have a nice red, white and blue Derby track for Derby Days, that'd be pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, sounds good.
that would be very cool. So on that note, the city has an event coming up that this city is sponsoring. It's a quarterly county city meeting where all of the counties and cities get together, the staff and the officials get together and share information about each other's cities, and it's a quarterly event. And each city takes a turn hosting an event, this dinner event. Yamhill does it every 4 years, and our event is coming up August 15th. If we could happen to have that painted and looking really snappy by that event, we'll be having the Yamhill County city dinner event in the park that evening.
Oh.
And so if we had that looking snazzy, that would show it off to
That'd be really.
everybody in the county, which would be really kind of fun.
I think a big part of what YCC Group is doing this year, the group's been around 30 years, 20, 25, 30 years.
Quite a while.
And so we've got the website up, we've just redid the charter, we've kind of got a refresh, and now we want to set the next 10 to 20 years for the park. And so that, right now, that started with a new flagpole last year, some new benches and chairs. Then we can paint the Derby, the Derby racetrack. And then over time, we would like to have a plan for longer term of what we can do in Beulah Park and other, and everything else in town. Yeah. I think that'd be a good start.
Questions, anybody?
What was the insurance question, and what was the insurance
Yeah,
statement?
so it's more of a waiver, sorry. It's a waiver, just to have people up there working.
Just for us working in the park, yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
You need a waiver from YCC.
Correct.
We do it.
They have one on file.
Yeah.
I believe they send us new one every year, so I can just double check that.
Sure.
See if we already have.
And then we'll find a Saturday or a day when we're gonna ask people to do that. We'll post on the website. We usually post stuff on Facebook and so. Try to make sure that as many people in the community know that there's something going on if they want to volunteer.
You can let the city know also, because we can
Do that.
post it, and maybe something I'd be interested in, especially with one.
Great,
All right.
thank you.
And Jim, you got the communication that we're putting off till potentially next year, the additional event,
Additional event.
the flyover event
Oh,
that we
yeah.
talked
Oh,
about.
we did, yes, indeed.
Yes, we did. We're gonna pick a theme that goes with
We're
that.
gonna pick a theme for
Excellent.
next year.
Excellent, then we'll resubmit it. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, committee reports, planning commission.
Mayor, may I wait until perhaps after unfinished business? I know Jenny Morrison is gonna be here and to be part of the report.
I talked to her too, so I know she's planning on being here, so we'll go
I
ahead and
just-
hold off and wait on that.
I just was talking to her.
Not a problem, we'll postpone it.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, well, that one we need to hold off on as well. Never mind.
You're up.
Committee reports, planning commission and economic development committee, please.
Well, just recapping our last meeting and our next meeting. We had the staff report included dark sky lighting standards, and dark skies, we actually changed the name of it, so it's outdoor lighting standards, because dark skies is a piece of it. And we kicked around things like, well, how long will it take? How long will people have to comply? 2 years, 1 year, 180 days. I think we're kind of settled in at a year. So there's just lots of moving parts to this nuisance lighting and limiting watts per house per business. And so it's complicated and you'll see it in a little while. So we sent him back with a lot of questions and things that we said, we'd like it like this. And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that'll come back our next meeting on Monday. The second thing he brought to us was a staff report, which included revisions to combine Title 11 into Title 10. So it will all be one title called land divisions. And we started reading the first 5 pages. And he asked us, did it make sense as you read it? So we're kind of proofreading this to make sure people like that aren't trained in understanding such documents we can understand it. So that's what he asked of us. And we're gonna get back together with him and give him our input and go on from there. So hopefully he'll bring us something around up on the outdoor lighting standards that we say, this is it, and we can vote on it, and you'll see it pretty soon to approve. Any questions?
No, that was good information, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and Jenny.
Hello. I'm here on behalf of the Economic Development Committee and where we are now. So when we were formed a year and a few months back, the objective was to come up with codes that reflect what the community wants and then also identify grants that could be helpful for the community. And so to provide kind of like some back support for the planning commission. And so now things have happened, you know, so the last year and few months has been great. And so now we've got the formula business restriction recommendation that's gone through, and I think there's some things, I think you've heard me talk about this before, but like the sense of urgency with trying to define what needs to happen in the town before things that we don't necessarily want gets pushed through. And, you know, rightly so, because of the way the codes are, and the planning commission has to approve what is, you know, legally there. So we've had the opportunity to provide input and do some research. There's also the historic element, you know, the historic like designation for the city. So where we are now is we're so excited because now we have Shelley on board, and we've got things that have come to place, you know, come into play with 3J Consulting and with Doug Rux being involved. And so we've kind of gotten to this point where we have achieved some goals. And where we want to go now is determine what makes sense for our committee. We definitely want to keep participating, and we appreciate the opportunity to participate and have input. I think it's valuable, but we also don't want to like overwhelm Shelley. It's like, okay, well, here's your to-do list. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is helpful and needed. And so what our next step seems to be to have a good conversation, and earlier we were meeting, you know, Ken and spoke, you know, with Shelley last week. It's like, okay, here's where we are. We've got people from the Yamhill Downtown Association involved. We've got Yamhill Neighborhood Association involved. So we've got these interested parties. So what we want to do is make sure we're using the best use of our time that fits the needs of what you guys need and what Shelley could use. And so next steps would be have a conversation, a meeting to determine where we are now with all the grant application process. You know, there's just a lot of new things and potential positive things happening, but we want to do it in the right way. So instead of meeting just to meet, we would like to meet with purpose. And to rewind slightly with the Yamhill Downtown Association, we're also reconnecting with the Oregon Main Street organization and have things that we can pursue with that. And so we're committed to meeting their timeline and utilizing them to the full extent that we can. So there's that. So I think all of these things can come together and have some positive input, but again, we want to do what's needed. So next step is I'm going to talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing some of those ideas and plans. Do we have any other committee reports, presentations? Not at this time. All right, unfinished business. R 20-820 resolution approving the code amendment to Title 10 of the Yamhill Municipal Code establishing formula business regulations. Council, do you have any questions? What were your thoughts on this resolution? There was a lot to take in on that.
There's a lot to take in. I think it's a good starting point, and I appreciate the work that they did to get us there.
Any concerns, any recommendations?
I don't have any concerns at this point. I think that it's something that could be added to in the future if needed, but I think it's a great start.
Okay. And what kinds of things do you think should be added in the future that may not have been addressed at this time?
So I know that in some other cities where sort of a theme or a style of city takes place, there are regulations just as far as the text of the sign.
Mhm.
For example, if you wanted a Starbucks in Leavenworth, it has to be a German style lettering. And you have to, eliminate certain colors and only certain colors are allowed. Some cities that have done some things like this, they've eliminated, you can't have golden colored signs, so McDonald's put a giant blue arch. So there are things that you could do to tighten up and sort of stay ahead of the wave. If we thought we wanted to do that, or,
Okay,
oh,
and so this is a good start,
I think it's
usually?
wonderful.
Okay. And Counselor Askey, your thoughts?
I agree. I don't think I have anything else.
No? Are you both ready for a motion?
Mhm.
All right,
I move to approve R 820, a resolution approving the code amendment to Title 10 of the Yamhill Municipal Code, establishing formula business regulations.
Second,
negative vote, please.
Husky, aye.
Potter, aye.
Corrigan, aye.
Our 820 resolution has been approved. Resolution R 822, resolution declaring the city's election to receive state funds. That seems like a no-brainer to me, but is there any questions or concerns about that?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Like, yes, please. Counselor Askey, anything?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, motion then?
I move to approve R 822, a resolution declaring the city's election to receive state funds.
Second,
Vote, please.
Husky, aye.
Potter, aye.
Corrigan, aye.
Resolution R 822 has been approved. The state will send the city funds. We do like that.
Mayor, can you tell me how much?
Actually, I can't know. I think there's variables that come into play, and I don't think I have that information on variables to make that happen.
More than $1 though.
More than $1.
More than $1. All right, resolution R 824. Resolution, did I say 23? I didn't I? All right, got it. Resolution R 823, thank you, Angie, by the way. A resolution by the City Council of Yamhill, Oregon, adopting the fiscal year budget appropriating monies for operations and levy a property tax. Discussions on that, council? This is essentially approving the city budget for, which we've been through multiple times.
Multiple times.
And the budget committee has approved and now just requires a council approval.
Very happy with the budget.
So no changes, no inputs, no updates, no concerns?
I think it went great this year.
I think it was a smooth thing. It was great.
It really was for the
Best
first
I've been
time
involved with.
ever. It was, and we owe a lot of that to our finance person and our contracted finance, our budget preparer, which was very helpful. Which would have been Kara Corrigan and Ross Schultz. Again, yes, very smooth. So no discussion?
Do you want me to read for the record?
Yes, please. Would you read that for the record?
Yes, Mayor Potter, council members, tonight resolution R 823 represents the last public step in the city of Yamhill's 24-25 budget process that began back in January of this year with council's goal setting session. As a result of the goals set by council in January, staff presented their proposed budget to the budget committee in April. The committee reviewed the document and formally approved it on April 17th. In May, the council held a public hearing on this approved document and took public comments. Tonight, as the last public step in the budget process that began in January, resolution R 823 is a request for council to adopt the City of Yamhill 2024-25 budget document, set appropriations, and levy the property tax as included in this resolution. With your approval, staff will file this budget and this resolution with the county and state as required by law. This will mark the completion of the 24-25 Yamhill budget process. Thank you to the Budget Committee, Ross Schultz and Kara Corrigan, Budget Officer, for their time spent on the process, and staff recommends approval of Resolution R 823.
Excellent, thank you. A motion.
I move to approve R 823, a resolution adopting the 2024-25 fiscal year budget, appropriating monies for operation and levying a property tax. As is.
Second,
Get a vote, please.
Askey, aye.
Potter, aye.
Corrigan, aye.
A raging aye. Yay.
It's fast with three of us.
It is faster, isn't it? All right, resolution 824, a resolution for property surplus. Over the years, the city accumulates property and then wears it out and then needs to dispose of that, but needs to remove it from the budget or from the city's surplus or from the budget city's property. Remove it as city property to dispose of. So we need to give the city permission to dispose of city property by surplusing it. So that is what this resolution is asking. So any questions about this regarding anything from council?
Where does it go in your surplus?
So this
Is
one,
that just been recycled?
Is this the
Yeah.
boat anchors?
yeah,
So these were Windows XP from, there was a resolution back in 21. They have them taken offline and disposed of in accordance with Criminal Justice Information Services protocols. Our IT at the time was supposed to do that with the hard drives. Didn't happen. So instead of just following through with that resolution, I wanted transparency just to know that that has now the process with CJIS that I'm doing myself with the disposal of the hard drives appropriately. And it's Windows XP, so they're no longer a product that's usable and they're 15 years old. So they're worthless.
They have no value.
to anybody.
Never did.
So hence the boat anchors.
Okay, and Councilor Corrigan's question was, how do you plan to dispose of the surplus property?
The garbage.
Boat anchor?
Or boat anchors if someone needs a boat anchor. Yeah, so they're garbage.
Okay,
And
and
there's
they're disposable to garbage without creating any.
there's a
information
12-page document for CJIS of what the process is for the hard drives, so. I could explain all that, but
No,
We're good.
no, we're good. Computerese, no, thank you. Okay, excellent. So we just need a motion.
I move to approve R 824, a resolution for property surplus.
Second,
Vote, please.
Askey, aye.
Potter, aye.
Corrigan, aye.
Resolution R 824 has been approved. Look at that, cruising. New business, special event permit for Beulah Park, McMinnville Amateur Radio Club. Mr. Disbrow.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Jay Disbrow, 515 East Main Street, Young Hill, here representing the McMinnville Amateur Radio Club. We would like to express our appreciation for use of the park last year, and we eagerly await your approval of using it this year. The park has been a great fit for us. The Amateur Radio Field Day, which is an annual event, is an online, over-the-air gathering of last year over 35,000 amateur radio operators. So, and you're all invited to come and attend and bring your friends and your children. Thank you.
Thank you. I was able to attend last year. Was anybody else able to attend the event?
I wanted to go, but I had to work.
Yeah,
I've heard it was wonderful.
it really was exceptional. I learned so much about amateur radio, and it was really cool to see the volume of people that were attending that were passionate about this program. and how much they appreciated having that particular location. Apparently, it had special usage.
It's accommodates us very well for putting up antennas and setting up our radio stations and having our social gathering and that.
Well, it was a great event and I enjoyed myself very much. I know that you took care of the property appropriately, which we're grateful for. I have to ask Jason, is there any reason why they shouldn't be able to use the park for that event?
The only thing I spoke to Jay about was in regards to parking on the asphalt, as far as we've been pretty stringent on YCAP with, us having special permitting with handicap stickers, permitting those individuals. I only feel that it's fair that we, as a city, still do that justice, just so that that message is out there that, is for all parties included. He seemed.
We'll work with the superintendent and make sure that we get it right, so we don't get in trouble for next year.
Excellent. And Chief, is there any safety concerns that you need to make Jay aware of, or?
No concerns.
No concerns?
Yeah, the event went well last year without any issues or reports for law enforcement.
All right. And with that, I encourage you to have a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you get an opportunity, you really should check it out. It's pretty fun stuff. And when the aliens arrive, he'll be the first one I call. All right, caucus 2024 schedule, Angie, please.
So it's that time of year, and we need to set a date for the caucus. After discussion, we decided probably the 31st of July at 6:30 p.m. at Balboa Park would work. I just want to make sure that works for all of you, and then you authorize us to go ahead and get it going.
What time of day?
6:30 p.m. I figured that would give people more time to get home from work, because it's during the week.
Have we identified a potential facilitator for that event?
We have spoken with someone, I believe that Marty Bouts, I think, did say that he would be okay with it. I want to confirm just the date and the time.
He's an outside resident, so that would be appropriate. Okay. All right, great, thank you. Any questions from council?
That sounds great.
And the caucus is for the two pending vacant positions for next year, council positions, and the one pending vacant position for mayor, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Great. Those caucuses are always a very interesting event. If you get an opportunity, I encourage you to attend. It's really neat to see the election process in process. And it's a great experience. So please attend if you can. You don't need any approvals on anything from us, do you? We're just information only? Okay,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
believe the ordinance states that it's required that the city council direct the city staff to establish a date for a caucus.
A date was established for July 31st.
So that's,
Make that official? You want that formal?
no, it's just,
Yeah.
the point is that the council is required to direct the staff to set that.
All
It's
right.
a small mute point, but
No, I appreciate that. You've done this much longer than I have, Jay, so I respect your experience. May I get a motion then from council?
Oh, we're good. So we're to direct staff?
A motion to direct staff with the approval of the rest of the council. With approval, with a vote or approval.
So I move to direct staff to set a date for the caucus 2024 with
On July 31st.
on July 31st at 6:30 p.m. at Beulah Park.
Second,
A vote, please.
Askia.
Potter, I.
Corrigan, I was really smart.
I was I was about to say we should add a Western thing into that.
Too funny. We could,
Formal.
we could do that. Thank you, Jay. All right, department reports. Chief Graven.
Thank you, Mayor. Did everyone receive a copy of the staff report? Anyone have any questions? Well, I've appreciated the opportunity to fill in as the interim city administrator, and it was a great challenge and a great learning experience. And as you can see from our staff and ignoring them, how busy they are and how much work they do. Publicly, I want to thank all of staff because I couldn't have done what I did without them. And everyone else helping pick up and moving the city forward as they have. So it's very appreciative, and we've come a long way as the city, and we have a long way to go, but we are moving in the right direction. So I publicly appreciate all the staff and for all their hard work and their relentlessness to make sure that the city is running smoothly and moving forward. We also have the stats reports for the police department. Does anyone have any questions about that? Again, resounding how staff has been working diligently and the police department, making sure that the city is safe. Any questions about that? Performance questions.
I don't said I don't have any questions. I just appreciate the work that they're doing to, be out there and be visible and taking care of, 137 people that had an opportunity to learn how to operate a motor vehicle through Yam Hill is excellent.
And
It's just the warnings, it's not even the citations.
Sure.
Yeah. And performance reviews were completed on all staff, and they are in compliance with the 24-25 budget. And again, those performance reviews are reflected in that report of how busy everyone is and how diligent they are in working for the city. So it's been, again, nice to work with council. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still gonna be around. I still am who I am. So all of staff are still willing to work together with me and moving the city forward. And it's been an honor for the last 3 weeks to work with Shelley and passing that baton, which she's taken on quickly, which is good. And I think she has the baton now, so. Mostly.
I'd like to say thank you for all the work you did. I have no idea. I understand that you don't sleep and such, but that's still without sleep, a daunting thing to do 2 full-time jobs. And you did a wonderful job.
I appreciate that, Shay. Sleep's underrated.
That's what I hear. I couldn't tell you. I get some all the time.
Truly, I would like to call you out as being an exceptional human being, first of all, but exceptional, dedicated person to the city of Yamhill. This is not just a job for you. This is something you personally take very, very much to heart. And I have so much respect for you in that regard, because not everybody would have stepped up to the degree and to the level that you did. And you really set a bar for us that we could then see the future with the city administrator because of the bar you set. And it made a huge difference for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. With everything that Shelley has been doing, she's been, again, taking on a lot and absorbing it and actually comprehending it. So that's impressive, especially coming from me to her. So. And she's done something else that, so normally I'll touch on highlights and events and things, and it is a word, way more awesomer at it than I am to be able to present that stuff. So I will turn it over to her to let her present that.
Look at that, the baton's going right now. I can see it.
Bam.
Bam.
Like that.
Well, and I just want to also say, in my 3 weeks, if I didn't have this person and all that you've done to prepare this position and the person walking into this position, it would be a lot harder to do what I've just been able to do in the last 3 weeks and all the work that's ahead. So thank you for me also, because you've made it a lot easier for me to step in and grasp a lot of what's going on. So anyway, with that, I wanted to, for my first meeting, take the opportunity to just, from the report that Greg's been putting together every month, begin a process to highlight some of the wins and some of the projects and positive noteworthy events that that staff and City Hall is working on to make council aware and to make the public aware, so you guys can all see specifically some of the things that staff's doing. So this is my report from the work done in May. And again, I've been here for 3 weeks, so I wasn't here for all of this, but I'm taking this from the reports. So if you could go ahead to the next slide. So in my time, oh gosh, I probably need to get a little closer because I didn't bring my computer and I can't even read that. Note to self, make the font bigger next time. I wanted to point out some of the cool things that the police department are doing above and beyond, because we know that they issue citations and warnings and do traffic and safety and stuff, but there's also some things that they do outside of, not outside the job description, it's still within the job description, but it's just sort of above and beyond, and I think it's worth noting. First of all, Chief Graven obviously onboarded the new CA, which is me, City Administrator, and that's a big job. There's a lot to download and a lot to teach a new person just about what's happening in City Hall and all the projects and bringing me up to speed. And that's an ongoing process, but he spent a lot of time on that. And that included an office furniture move, cleanup day, which he led, and we cleaned up the garage and just kind of had a big purge session with staff, and also assisted with a lot of the IT needs. So it was sort of, you know, something needed to be moved, hung, IT needs needed to be met. Chief Graven was our go-to. And so we really appreciate that. Public Works helped obviously too with that. We'll get to Public Works, but Jason was great with that too. He also, just some of the things that Chief Graven spends his time every month doing is working with teams around the community to see about child abuse prevention, reducing childhood fatalities, the Drug Recriminalization Act, and all of the work that's going on to bring that back to where it used to be and beyond. Suicide prevention, and then NARC training. So in addition to being interim administrator, police chief, running a police program, and then the regular duties, those are just a few of some of the highlights that stand out that he does on a regular basis to keep Yamhill safe and participate in those statewide programs. Corporal Van Cleve, noteworthy, he conducted multiple welfare checks on citizens to ensure safety. There's specificity to those, but I didn't want to call it out just for privacy's sake, but a number of things he did to ensure citizens were safe and check out the welfare of people. He assisted with a Spanish translation for non-English speakers, so it's noteworthy that we have a dual language officer available to us when he can help other agencies when they need help with that sort of thing. And then just raising and lowering flags for Memorial Day, again, within their duties, but just noteworthy. Officer Miller assisted with a hit and run. He assisted 2 burn victims to help them to life flight after the garage exploded, and we got word that both are recovering at home, which is great news. And then also assisted another suicide patient needing life flight. So not your everyday activities for most of us, and noteworthy. The SRO and Reserve Officer Livingston passed his FAA test to become a drone operator and wants to work on bringing a drone program here to City of Yamhill, which would be beneficial. And then, of course, working at the prom at the high school just to ensure student safety. And then Reserve Officer McMillan passed his required CGIS and LEDS training and is doing additional training that he needs to do. He's now moved on to that next level of training. So just some of the things that they're working on outside of these things. And you can see these statistics, the number of hours worked, number of miles driven, number of calls and activity, case reports, arrests, circuit court citations, calls for service, etc. So those stats are available, but I wanted to call them out at this meeting. Forward. Public Works, I was able to tour the water treatment plant with Jason. He also took me up to the reservoirs and the lagoons and showed me all the different things that really helped to be able to see those. We also had a meeting with our engineers, and we're getting our CIP lists up to date and on the website soon. So that is something to watch for here soon, hopefully. There is a grant we're working on from Congressman Merkley to begin the project to study, the Intertie study, to get water, to get us connected potentially to our water line. So that grant, those meetings are underway. We had a call today, and just getting that process rolling. There's another grant we initiated with Small Cities Allotment, SEA, for sidewalk and street improvements on East Third and Maple to Hemlock. We're putting in for it. We don't know if we're gonna get it. There are some median income requirements that we're not sure that we're gonna qualify, but we're gonna put in and try anyway. And then the impound channelization study has begun as well. And then I think most of you know this, but it's also still noteworthy to call out that Jane Heinrich Park RC track was installed, and the Safe Route Sidewalk project to South Yamhill Nature Trail has begun. And just some pictures to show you guys. Here's the track. Oh, so go back, just in case people didn't get a chance to see it yet. So just, I think everyone's probably seen it, but that's up at the Jane Heinrich Park. So kind of cool to see that. And then the next slide is just before the sidewalk improvement, and now it's under construction, and we can show it obviously when it's complete. But I've actually already walked on the constructed part because I went down and took a couple walks during my lunch when I wanted to get outside and take a break. So it works, it's great. Next, planning department. So I've been working with our contractor, Walt. And we had a kickoff meeting with 3J, Doug Rocks, Walt, myself, and DLCD on the grant for the housing codes and downtown development code update. And we've got a scope of work, a calendar of deadlines. We know city deliverables and timeline for payments. The scope of work, I believe, has been posted on the website.
Correct.
And there will be a community engagement opportunity. This is going to be the really important part for you guys to come. Those will be scheduled, I believe, in the fall. There will be at least 2, and then a third with a public work session with council, where you guys will comment on and provide feedback for the information that's provided from this study. And that is a requirement of this grant, and so we will be putting together a committee of citizens to participate in that. So we'll obviously announce when that time is, we need to hear from you. And then the anticipated completion of this grant is May 2025. So this should be done in a year. And what this is going to do is update our codes to where, when the time comes that we're ready for development to come, we're up to code and using our properties in the way that they're coded. Okay, looks like these. Inside City Hall and administration, just some noteworthy things. Again, we did the office move and cleanup. That was quite a couple 3 days process to get that done, but it was a great team effort. I will be attending an OCCMA conference. That's the Oregon City County Managers Association conference in Hood River this month in June for free. I won a scholarship to that for my conference fee and hotel. And then Angie just completed a week at the City Reporters Conference where she learned a ton and is going to be downloading to us to make sure we are all in compliance on all of our processes. And then Kim just completed a final certification at the Oregon Association of Court Administrators, I believe is what that stands for, just recently. So she completed that certification. And then just again, outside the box, a woman came in one day a couple weeks ago, an elderly woman came in, and Angie and Kim were in the office, and she said, "I'm really sorry to bother you guys. I don't know where else to go. I have a flat tire and I don't know what to do." And so Angie helped get a nail out of the tire and pump it up.
We pumped it up and sent her to Les Schwab.
And then sent her off to Les Schwab, but then above and beyond, called down to Les Schwab to make sure that she arrived, and she had, and they fixed her tire. And so just, you know, little things that I think are worth mentioning. It's really nice that this community is so helpful and friendly and willing to just go out of their way to help people. So that's that. I think we have one more. In the Human Resources Department, we have one open recruitment for a utility worker 1, and new hires, myself and then Reserve Officer McMullen were some recent hires. Go ahead. Sorry. City Council, I have been able to meet weekly with Mayor Potter, and that's been really helpful and going over several projects. I've also met now with Councilor Ichari, am I saying that right? Askey, which was a great meeting, and Corrigan, had great meetings, and then Councilor Jensen, I will be meeting with next week. And we had an opportunity to discuss their vision for the city and future goals, their expectations and goals for me. And then we have plans to schedule a future retreat, kind of a one-day in-town thing where we're just gonna brainstorm and prioritize that Doug Ruck's list, as well as any other things that come up. And as I'm talking to counselors and community leaders, YNA and YDA and other people, I'm sort of hearing common themes, you know, bubbling to the surface. So those things will be part of what we discuss in there. And then the community engagement, I was able to meet with YNA, YDA. I met with Phil Higgins, and he's got some great ideas for Jane Heinrich Park and wants to get involved in putting together a parks master plan. Met with Brian Young with Emergency Management Services at the county. City of Carlton, discussing the Hillsborough tie-in again and other collaborative opportunities for the two of us to work together. And then the first Friday last week we met here at first at City Hall and met with a couple of citizens and then walked down through the businesses and introduced myself to, well, Mayor introduced me to some business owners, and then to the Bar and Grill where we met up with a few other citizens. And upcoming events, Derby Days, July 19th and 20th. I have that wrong. The 19th and 20th. The Yamhill Caucus, July 31st, and the Yamhill is, City of Yamhill is hosting that city county dinner here in August 15th. And as you can see, residents' tax dollars are hard at work, and we thank you for supporting city staff, and I'd be happy to answer questions if anyone has any.
Counselors, any questions?
No, I thought that was very thorough.
Do you mind if I allow anybody to ask questions? Is there anybody else that has questions for her? Mr. Disbrow?
Congratulations, that was a great report.
Thank you.
Having been on the council for 10 years when our city recorder had no input, I really appreciate what you've done. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a comment, please. So on behalf of the Yamhill Downtown Association, just we're so excited to have you here. And then I do want to add on to what you were talking about with Chief Raven and Public Works, all the work that they've done and supporting our event, from the extra support with the police, the whole RC track. That was a huge plus and plug for the community. And so we are so incredibly grateful for everything you guys do. It's just fabulous. So thank you.
Would you put in perspective for us the amount of time and energy percentage wise, or that you see going forward, or maybe from your past, to put toward economic development and, you know, the kind of things that the YDA and the Economic Development Committee are coming to you with, and the grants that are going forward? I mean, there's a lot to do. And yeah, can you give me a feel for that? Do you feel like this is a big part of what you do, or is it 20%, or I don't know, try to characterize it.
It's sort of all of it. It's kind of simultaneous, like, so we were kind of talking about this today because obviously there's a need for development and growth, and growth, I mean, you know, managed growth and what the citizens want. But it really has to all kind of go together. So we need economic development, we need parks, we need water, but you can't have parks without water, you can't have housing, you can't have new commercial without water, right? So you have to have the grants for the water moving and going, and you have to have potentially, you know, this idea with Jane Heinrich for the softball parks as potentially the catalyst that starts to bring some people to town who then want an ice cream store or a coffee shop or a bakery or something extra, you know, to shop at. The the community that comes through and stops at Viola Park on their tour through the different signs that they stop at. I can't remember the name of it, but they need a place some places to shop and spend some money. So we need to have a parks plan that accommodates that. We need water to support the parks. We need development down here and some businesses to come to town. So it kind of all has to be happening at the same time, but in my mind, it's all happening for that goal. It's for water supports economic development, park supports economic development. Bringing the types of businesses that the community wants. And I told this, I think, to you last week when we talked, Rocky, that, you know, it's really, you guys tell me what you want your town to look like, and then I manage the process of trying to make, you know, get that, shepherd those projects through. So that's how I view it. And so I feel like the community engagement piece is critical. Like, we have to know what does the town want, and then map it out for not just right now, but 30 years from now. What do we want this to look like? And let's put plans in place for that now. And working with like YDA and YNA to make those things happen. So I kind of look at it all as one, but it's all moving toward the economic development goal, because that's how you fund the city to make it what we want.
I heard you talking about infrastructure, the softball, the park, the water. And then I also heard you talk about you want input. One of the grants is going to facilitate that, is it not?
One of them, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so the one in particular requires it, that's the planning one with the housing code updates and the downtown development. There are two grants that are happening simultaneously to make just sort of more economical. And so those both require community engagement. So a citizen advisory committee will need to be put together and then inform that group that I mentioned, Doug, myself, Steve, and
Strategic planning group,
the issuing grant, and the council. Yeah, to inform that with the community's wishes on that and the direction they want to see.
Downtown development grant will probably give you some outline as to what the vision will be.
Right, and that's one of the things we want to meet with to talk more about that. And then, you know, even down the road, we're going to have future grants, like if we want to talk about a new city hall or anything like that. I mean, that's going to be something that the community is going to have to be a huge part of that, to tell us, you know, down the road, this is what 30 years from now, we need a building that accommodates this. This is what, you know, or staff that's going to look like this. So it's an essential part we have to have.
In grant writing, can you talk about the importance of that in this vision for Yamhill? And is that your job?
Say it again.
Is grant writing to kind of facilitate these plans? Is that your job? Is that something that you'll be spending a lot of time with? Or
yeah, it's going to be a big part of my job. It is a big part of my job, but like chief creative rights grants for police and stuff. And Jason and I work together on grants for public works, but then there's other grants that, you know, I'll pursue. And then sometimes it's the contractor that's actually writing the grant. So it just sort of depends on the situation, but ultimately it'll be my job to manage those and make sure that they're on track and on budget and moving how they should be, whether I've written them or not. But yeah, that's where it'll ultimately stop with me.
Question. We've talked with YCC potentially pursuing some grants for the park. There's a number of corporate grants, Weyerhaeuser and T-Mobile has a small town grant. Should we be engaging this, if we want to think about that, should we engage the city to do that? Should we be applying for a grant for Beulah Park or just ourselves? So there's multiple parties all kind of committed to the long-term success of Beulah Park and making sure that we're all.
Well, I did know when you mentioned that about your vision for the park in the future, I thought we need to have conversations about how this fits into the whole picture, because I would love to know what you guys are talking about. But it depends, because some grants are like, you know, Bob was telling me they're more appropriate for nonprofits than for local government. So it kind of depends on the grant, but we can certainly talk.
and having the partnership of each other makes a difference too. I know with YDA, when they've done grant opportunities, we've supported that effort. And vice versa, they've supported our efforts on occasions as well.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
being partners in it.
a letter from the city council and on behalf of you guys, there's something is kind of the way they can support that.
It's a team effort.
That's one of our goals, to start updating our bylaws and getting ourselves all, get a mission statement and a few things like that, so we were ready to go out after. We've got some money sitting there now to help maybe fund matching funds for grants or something, so.
You have huge potential.
So Shelley, speaking for YNA, you know that we've already submitted for 2 grants totaling almost $200,000 for disaster preparedness shelter equipment. We're soon to get an answer. I'm hoping we're on the list. But with that said, all I can say is if they approve us for our $200,000 worth of equipment, one is a Connex 40-foot full of disaster preparedness equipment to shelter 100 people or more. The other is 2 50,000-watt generators on trailers to support the T&E store and the high school cafeteria. If we're able to get those grants, we're going to have a lot of work, and we're gonna need a lot of support from the city, the fire department, Carlton. You know, we are a community here, and our shelter is part of our community. And it will take a village to put this together. And I'm hoping the city and you're forward thinking, and the mayor's forward thinking, and Jason's forward thinking, and the committee's forward thinking is going to support those efforts.
Yeah, I think emergency management is really important, and again, we had that meeting with Brian
Brian Young.
Young at the county, and he was very supportive and, you know, is a resource available for us as well, so I definitely think that's on everyone's radar.
Right, yeah.
Thank you, Shelley, for your report. Appreciate it very much.
So as I said, way more awesome.
What's that?
Way more awesome.
Way more awesome.
I did want to also let council know that with the communication of having the staff report, Shelley and I have discussed that, and we want to continue forward with that. So with that type of a presentation, so we'll still continue to submit the staff reports to Shelley from each of us.
Perfect. That's
I also
excellent.
wanted to ask about, I haven't spoken with Shelley about this, but it's been a conversation that we've implemented the 2 laptops for council to kind of minimize the paper and to save trees. So I think that's been a productive thing, and we would like to move forward with getting some more laptops so that council all has those. And then the choice would be, if you want the paper, then you can get it emailed to you and you can print it off. So
Is it?
that's where I feel in moving forward, but now Shelley's decision, but we've had discussions about it. It's one of those, she has the baton, but moving forward, I think it's a good move for us to seek out, potentially get a couple more laptops the next fiscal year.
No,
And I know-
I agree with you, Chief. I truly do. I think that steering away from paper and being completely electronic for all city documents and all city work is the appropriate thing to do, because that's the direction our world is going in. My old school nature is, if I can write it down or print it or see it and touch it, then that makes it more real for me. But I know I need to grow up and move on.
Well, you're happy to print them off.
You can write on
But
computers.
I've been doing it for over 3 years, just everything electronic for 3 years, because before coming to the council meetings, I mean, literally I'd have a stack of papers.
Yeah.
And I'd watch all of council walk in there and dispose of them, recycling, but still.
No, I remember.
So, yeah,
Counselor asking says, well, you know, you can write on computers now. It's like,
you can.
Stylus.
So my question though is there the potential of getting a tablet rather than a whole big old laptop?
That could potentially be an option. The laptops just were something that we chose to do because, one, they were inexpensive. They have a keyboard, and then you have those that are like, okay, well, yeah, I like the tablet with the stylus, but then it's like, no, I need a keyboard to input information into, and then now you have to go out and get another device. some type of a keyboard, which they're pretty cool ones now that are actually like dimensional. They're not even really a keyboard, it's just. So technology's getting up there and tablets are a choice, but we chose to do it just because it's more universal for putting things in and inputting, especially with those that still want to be able to add stuff in to the information. So if you have your documents that are on the computer, then you have to have something to be able to want to put notes in and so forth. So that was why this, in my opinion, was much more functional. We did look at tablets, but of course, I look at the ones I wanted were almost $4,000. So that wasn't a choice.
No.
So budgetarily wise, it was more productive to have these types of things. That's something that we can look into. And then you guys can arm wrestle over the tablets.
No, I trust your judgment and I'll be grateful for it and use it when it arrives.
Okay.
Willingly. I'll give up paper. No. Okay, excellent. Is that,
Thank you. I just wanted to pass that along to see that that's something that it's been a test pilot period process, and I think it's working well.
yeah, I think it is too. Just for us old schoolers. Never mind.
Well, 'cause we do the cleaning too, and so I have to do the recycling, so it's a selfish reason. I don't want to have to be throwing all
Oh,
that.
that makes sense. I get you. Okay. That leads us to Public Works.
Yeah.
Jason.
So we've been working with AKS, we've been working with some contractors. I mean, the key here going into the summer is capturability and capacity. With that said, we're gonna be following through with this in-water work window where we're gonna be putting in the actual 4-foot intake increase. So ultimately we'll have a 7-foot intake at our water treatment for all the water coming off of Turner Creek. That'll be taking place probably latter part of this month, early next month. It's already passed DEQ with inspection permits. AKS has already submitted all the drawings back to DEQ and ODFW for this fish screen. That all looks good. It's all positive right now. So that's a green light project. We've been working with FEMA as far as increasing our reservoir capacity to 2.1 million gallons in total. Everything's looking really good right now. I mean, it's a lot better than what we predicted early on in the process, which was a retrofit. This would be a new completed reservoir up at our current reservoir location. There again, we'll be kicking off a project on West 3rd this summer. That's all distribution line. That line will run from Highway 47, West 3rd, turn up to 2nd off of Olive. We've micro project, kind of like our CIP list. I know I've spoken to you guys about this before, and it seems to really be working. You know, this current cost for this project is gonna be around $212,000. And how we assess that here at Public Works is through old data of leak detection, possible leaks. We accumulate that and then we throw that process at the CIP in regards to what is the greatest capturability of water in that process. So that's how we come to that resolve and resolution there. So those are pretty big projects. Along with that, we will have 3 shovel-ready projects by August for either a channelization project, which Shelley pointed out to you guys during that slide, which will give us the capability as possibly direct lining that impound. So we'll get direct water from the impound instead of releasing it and having that loss to the water plant. So that will be a shovel-ready project. Along with that is the new transmission line from the water plant to the reservoir. It will be all outlined. And we'll also get surveying out of that so we can detect where that line is. That's big with leak detection because there's a lot of unknowns out in that field. Number 2 is the Mount Richmond tie with Hillsborough. That will be completed along with the Merkley grant money. So that if we as a city feel fit that that's the better way to go, then that is already a green light shovel-ready project, along with the railroad corridor to Gaston to tie in with Cherry Grove and Hillsborough.
Cool.
So those are all the way around big wins. On the wastewater side, we're working with DEQ right now through our ARPA grant to redesign, rewrite our permit. It's 12 to 14 years old right now. And we're trying to implement new mechanical devices to that wastewater lagoon to make it more suited for the growth that's gonna come to this community. But that said, we're looking at aerators, we're looking at dechlorination on the end of the lines, better chlorination at the beginning, new valves, a new headworks, a new influent pump station. So those are big upgrades and those are all shovel-ready projects. So we're just waiting on DEQ to kind of green light and rewrite our permit so we can implement those. And that was a big help from Yamhill County with that ARPA grant. So we've been in those muddy waters trying to get that kind of pushed through. Everything's a process. Out in the streets, Public Works has been doing a lot of work to detect missing valves in our maps. So we've already found multiple, I think we're up to a dozen, which weren't in our maps for isolation points. And that was huge because as soon as we found those, we realized some of the system is looped in that we thought was isolated. So when we do go to shut down in case of an emergency, that water loss is little to nil as far as timeline and timeframes. Along with that, out in the streets, it's a lot of working with ODOT right now. They're gonna hand over some more material to get our crosswalks up and going again. I mean, they've pretty taken a lot of wear and tear. So they're gonna be helping us. They're kind of short-staffed. So basically they're handing over material to Public Works to implement that out there. Parks really look good. I mean, Josh has done a wonderful job kind of keeping those up and we've seen a lot of trail activity as far as pedestrian walking out there, which is awesome to see. So we just keep kind of basic maintenance and kind of implementing little things and working with UAS on our TSP plans to get our traffic study plan up. So when we do go out for these grants, like the small city allotment grant, there again, we're ready for them. That's one missing piece kind of in our CIP is that TSP report and plan. So I know it's a lot kind of coming at you guys, but there's a lot going on, but it's procurements and projects. And I know you guys have seen Highway 47 there south of town, getting its construction done. I've procured 2 bids to today. I'm just waiting on a third and then we'll probably get active and get that sidewalk in. So, and big kudos to Vicky for allowing us to, I know that's kind of been hers for years and it was a pleasing conversation that she kind of opened that up. I know it's, typically ODOT's anyways, but it's tough to let that go. So she was really good about that and a lot going on. So if there's any questions.
She's been very gracious about that. She spoke with Shelley and I and.
Oh, good. Yeah, she was
She's been very
phenomenal.
gracious
Yes.
about that property there.
Right. Along with that, we did find a 2-inch line in there with a ball valve that we didn't know existed. And so it was actually a win. So
And it wasn't a wooden pipe either.
it wasn't wooden pipe. No.
Mayor, may I ask, he asked if we had any
Yeah,
questions?
feel free.
So I commend you and your crew on what you guys do. You guys are really keeping this city moving.
Thank you.
And if it wasn't for water, if it wasn't for sewer, there wouldn't be any Yamhill for sure. So I commend you and your crew. I am concerned personally, and everybody behind me is concerned about our storage basically crumbling, so to speak. And what, if anything, the city is planning on doing with that aspect. I know it's a big ask, but what good is it gonna do to have that big impound if you don't have any place to store it, or if it breaks and you go from 1,000,000 gallons to 500,000, you know, it's not gonna be a pretty sight.
Yeah, no, those are valid concerns. I mean, there again, touching on the point that you kind of initiated there, Robert, is we do our due diligence to make sure that not only is our water quality and capturability high, like it's an everyday process, you know, I know your concerns and they're valid, and we're working really hard on trying to move everything forward. You know, your impound's in good shape. I mean, you have to dredge it. I mean, we've seen sonar, we've done our due diligence there, and we can, you know, bring that to the table. I mean, there's a lot of sediment in there, and but it's cost, you know, and I think getting these projects shovel ready and acceptable and showing the state, showing the feds that, hey, we're doing everything we possibly can. We just need the assistance, and presenting that shovel ready project is gonna take us there. It's gonna take us to the finish line.
So, but what about our storage?
You mentioned that earlier, though, that we're increasing and
That's
getting
right. I mean, I understand your day-to-day worries, but we're working towards it. Like we're close. And I'm really happy about how close we are.
Okay.
And I would fret on the idea of throwing a lot of money at something where we could throw it at new.
Sure.
So hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Because you mentioned getting a new tank up there, a new
Correct.
storage tank,
Right.
which means the old one the old crumbling one can be decommissioned.
And a lot of this has to do with, and I hate to continue the subject matter, but it's out of compliance. And it's not the structure, it's the actual volume, you know, like you guys have been out of compliance for years, not only within your reservoir and in your intake.
Oh.
So these are steps that drastically had to be taken very quick, rapid kind of pace and speed along with that,
Glad you
like,
caught it.
so, yeah, I mean, so that's where we're at with that. And I think at the state level, I mean, Yvette's, you've been out there with me when we've met with them, I mean, they know our concern.
They all know, yeah.
Yeah, so,
And they actually know so well what Yamhill is experiencing, that they send us people all the time. They send us information about grants, they send us information about opportunities we need to be a part of. So they're very not only aware of what's going on with Yamhill and our storage capacity, but they're actively supporting us in changing it, which is really good to know that the rest of the county is on board with us,
That's great. Wow.
and state as
That's
well,
amazing.
yeah.
Good job.
no, all staff, so, thanks.
It's good to hear something about the impound area, 'cause that's been on the discussion list for well over 10 years. But I do have a question on the Mount Richmond intertie. Who's gonna own the pipeline? Who's gonna operate it and maintain it? And will there be provisions for additional users to go on that line to bring in more revenue?
I think as we go into this process deeper, I'd be able to answer those questions, Jay. Right now, we're on the design level, so.
And that's something that that can be brought to the Water Advisory Committee's attention for them to kind of work through the yays and nays and possibilities, which is why we have a Water Advisory Committee.
I'm kind of excited to hear that you're still thinking about that timeline.
Yeah,
To me, it makes more sense.
it does. I
It
mean,
does.
you know, Shelley and I were just in a Zoom meeting with engineering, and if you look at it, it makes a lot more sense. I mean, and dollars to cents too. It's,
Puts the water in the right spot.
yeah, and if you're thinking regional, I hate to put this out there,
Well,
but you know,
gravity does
if
most of the
Carlton,
work.
if Carlton does what they're gonna do and they tie into that railroad corridor, ultimately in a loop system aspect at a state level, if we do Mount Richmond, it creates a bigger loop because now our water plant would be tied in to that loop system with that railroad corridor. So we could support backfeed Gaston hypothetically, feed Carlton through Hillsborough. Hillsborough feed us. We could even feed into Carlton also. It's a win-win-win, like all the way around with that Mount Richmond. So,
Very cool.
Yep.
I don't know the layout. Where's it gonna come from and where is it gonna go to and go along Mount Richmond?
yep,
That's up and over Mount, where does it come from?
Cherry Grove.
Hag Lake isn't.
No, Barney,
What?
Barney Reservoir.
Barney.
Yeah, they're gonna be implementing a new water plant out in Cherry Grove, which will be treated from the city of Hillsborough. A new water line through there.
The pipe will climb the hill and just go right next to the Mount Richmond Road, climb the hill and come back down and
Theoretically,
snake past over there. There's
there'll be a booster pump involved once we get to that hill, but yeah.
So I'm interested in Jay's question because that goes right by my house, so. No, that's still on. How much you willing to pay?
All right, Jason, is there anything more for
No,
your
that's it.
report? Thank you, sir. Appreciate everything that you're doing out there.
Appreciate that, thanks.
Hard. And it's all the things that we were talking about a year ago, 2 years ago, we're seeing the answers finally. That's just good stuff right there. All right, Public Works, council reports. First Friday discussion with survey update from Pam Kirsch. Pam, will you please present for us what your survey came up with?
First of all, on behalf of the back row, I'd like to report a hum.
I've been hearing it too.
Vibration. A vibration.
Vibration.
Okay.
And the front row concurs.
Mayor and city council members. I'm here to talk about something exciting. A poll. I believe you received a copy of the results of the poll. You probably had a couple of questions, but I think I could answer them as I give it to you here. We took the poll April 4 to the 13th. Just to recap, this spring, correct me if I'm wrong, council members were interested in knowing why more community members don't attend the monthly First Friday meetings. By the way, I tracked the launch of the First Friday back to February 2023, but we may have begun that earlier. So that, I was able to track it back that far. As I recall, the reason for the First Friday gatherings came about was in response to a resident's, or I have plural, residents' feedback expressing that they would like more opportunities for a back and forth or a Q&A on some topics. Since that format, that's outside of the rules of order of the monthly council meeting, council came up with a periodic meeting with more of an unhurried conversation format. Council opted for one Friday per month with 2 counselors attending. I've attended most of those meetings. I think I'm correct in saying that most First Fridays were attended by just one person. I enjoyed myself. And on rare occasions, there was 2 or 3 others. So it wasn't a popular thing to do, but after a number of Fridays, an effort was made to utilize the time in part by reviewing some of the, I believe it was city codes, to see if any of those needed to be updated. And we'll take a minute to examine the origin and intent of the First Fridays and what we can learn from the poll. Yamhill Town Community Facebook page has under 1,200, just under 1,200 members. Looking at the poll, you can see the number of votes only totaled 57. And members were able to choose more than one poll statement. So that would indicate the number of people that responded were even less than 57. The statements I added were composed so as to ask members, for example, is it simply the day of the week or is it the time slot that's wrong for you? Or is there a different format that you would prefer? In looking at these results, I see those people want something more that doesn't include a Friday meeting. The two more popular choices were they'd like to see a monthly or quarterly mayor's report to recap the decisions, ongoing projects, progress on goals, projects, budget, etc. And the second most popular one was they would attend a quarterly town hall at the fire hall or church event tent. It's probably accurate to say the public wants more information and they want it in plain language. This is my take on what I'm seeing in my community. And they want to understand the status of an issue, what the status is and options and overview and what's being done about topics that residents care about in a nutshell. These days, we're kind of used to people wanting quick answers to frequently asked questions and just a couple of clicks and they get it. But since questions and the background of the topics in Yamhill can be rather complex and have a fairly long history, it can be quite frustrating, especially for newer residents. Communicating in conversation or a summary is usually more helpful than the more formal legal terms used in communication at a meeting. So I've been attending these council meetings here for years and I still don't understand some of these issues. It takes time to learn the background, the terminology, especially public works, and the solutions, what the options are for solutions. And I think we can all agree that there's a section of the population that don't have an interest in their local government. Not everyone is willing or able to take the time to attend meetings, review meetings, minutes, or listen to the recordings. With regard to the communication part, and that's, just want to focus on that. I think there are some residents who get their information by attending meetings, reading the minutes or going through the recordings, but others get their information from the city website. That doesn't always tell the background or reasoning or the legalities and the rest. Others yet depend on getting updates from their neighbor, their friends, or people that may not be entirely reliable and or have misunderstood. So I like to think that I pick up on how to keep people informed. I get a kick out of that. And I've observed what happens when they don't have facts. What I've observed is it's still common for neighbors to update neighbors, friends, and family. While they're probably well-intended, it can often become like the old game of telephone, where there's one person who initiates a piece of information, and by the time 6 have repeated it, the original info can hardly be recognizable. That happens in this town. This type of communication is in the category of quick, and it's sounding convincing, but in the end, it actually causes more harm than good. Each one that repeated the info likely put their own editorial spin on it, which can be mistaken as a fact. I'm sure like you, I've had interactions with community members who tell something that they heard around town and how concerned they are about council decision. Turns out what they heard was not exactly accurate or factual. They say they don't go to meetings, review the minutes, or listen to recordings. They just heard it somewhere. These incidents of rumors and misunderstood information are well intended but detrimental, I believe, to the mission of this body. I think there's an effective tool that should be considered. I encourage council to consider providing residents with a monthly narrative with a title, perhaps of mayor's update or council news or a combination variety, to bring facts, updates, status on goals, budget, etc. This is something a resident can read, review, be informed, keep, and follow up on from month to month. I know what it's likely an additional task for the mayor or the council, certainly city staff. But I believe the benefits may be the most cost and time effective option of communication. The distribution can be online, pick it up at City Hall, street bulletin board, or by block captains if there are any in this town. Since it's not a legal action, probably the post office doesn't need to be dealt with over there. While I understand that not every rumor or misunderstanding can be prevented and extinguished, I think it's a newsletter type thing is a valuable tool that can bring more confirmation of the facts to the community. I'm a member of a number of community Facebook groups, and I see their hot topics, rumors, concerns, and complaints. For those groups that utilize the mayor's news or some form of that, I observe more of a sense of transparency, clarity, and jumping on it before it gets like wildfire, sort of like our water billing did there for a while with all the rumors and all that. I also see value in considering having a quarterly meeting similar to First Friday format, only not on Friday. So for anybody interested in what the options were? Or do you all have those?
Can you read them for the record though?
Sure, there's only 7, short one. First one was, I don't attend First Friday, 4:30 PM due to my kids' sports and family time. That was 14% or 8 votes. Number 2, I don't attend First Friday, 4:30 due to work schedule, received 12%, 7 votes. This is Facebook tally, so it's not exactly science. But number 3, I don't attend First Friday because that's our weekend kickoff or dinner out night. 3%, 2 votes. I would attend First Friday type informal format if it were on a different day and time. Received 9%, 5 votes. I would attend, number 5 is I would attend a quarterly town meeting at the Fire Hall Church event or Beulah Park, where we can gather as a larger community to ask questions of elected officials, listen to answers, hear the residents' ideas, and offer feedback. Received 19% and a whopping 11 votes. I would like, number 6, I would like to see a monthly or quarterly mayor's report with a recap of decisions, ongoing projects, process on goals, budget, etc. Received 36% or 21 votes. Last one is I attend First Friday. There were 5%, 3 votes, 1 was. But I think where the gap is, just to add one more little layer. People don't like meetings, they're too busy. And when they see it's on the agenda, they hear it's going to be discussed, whether it's a gas station or, the water or whatever. They just want to know what happened. So there's a little bit of a gap. They can go back and read the minutes. But I think, again, it's that, you got to put the cookies on the lower shelf where the kiddies can get at it. And if you talk Robert's Book of Rules, a lot of times people are going, what does that mean? It's been such a, what status is that? I don't think everybody is meeting minded. So they just don't understand some of the actions. No offense to anybody here. I mean, it's just normal meeting stuff, I think, in our time. So. Other than that, I'd still like to report the home. Yeah. Are there any questions? But I see it's listed as a discussion, so I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
I don't remember if, so when we first brought up the idea of First Fridays, I don't remember if I posed the alternative of like a newsletter type thing, or if I was just thinking of that, and just kept it to myself. But that was like a second idea that I think when I ran across the idea of like a First Friday type thing. I don't even remember how I came up with that or how we ended up with it. But anyways, I feel like having a newsletter nowadays would be very easy to format and put together with AI. If you just feed it all the stuff we talked about today. Like, it will look good and distribute and I mean, it would be perfect. You
Is
still have
that
to put a little work into it.
Project you're volunteering for?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay, so there's an option. All right.
I'll do a draft.
Using today's council meeting as kind of
Yeah.
interesting, good. Anything else? But you're right, when we first when we first created First Fridays, it was in response to people who were doing public comment and weren't getting discussion or feedback or input at that time. It was just
I
public
remember we had a
comments. So you-
survey
Yeah,
and it was right around when COVID started, I think.
yeah. And so we were wanting to give people an opportunity to just sit and talk and have discussions about things that they were concerned about. Because we're not able to actually do that during the council meetings when we're conducting business, right? Okay. So the newsletter is a great idea, but it does not promote that whole discussion.
Yeah, as far as the discussion part goes, I kind of liked, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't there, but I liked how Shelley said that they walked down to the bar and grill during the First Fridays thing, like not even, you don't have to like announce yourself, but just going out and running into whoever you run into over there. As long as they're willing to say hi and chat. I kind of like that idea rather than like Pam said, reviewing code.
Yeah, the reviewing code was a little boring, but
Yeah, it's not that be a quote and whatnot.
that was just to keep us busy because nobody showed up.
Yeah.
I was there instead, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts? No? Counselor Corrigan?
Yes, I like the newsletter. I would like to, I think it would be kind of cool to have a quarterly town hall. Maybe 3 times a year, 4 times, I don't know, maybe not quarterly. But, and maybe just add things like as an agenda of things that are upcoming, like ideas, things that we could talk about. So if it was a big public works thing, then Jason could be there. And then they could ask the question, because there's very clearly a lot of questions today for Jason. So maybe that would be a neat thing where it wasn't just a counselor and a mayor or a president and a counselor. But we could have just certain things that were kind of big happenings in the city. Where they could be addressed by the people that were in charge of that.
Isn't that what we kind of do here on a monthly basis rather than quarterly?
Well, I think that it says what we do here, but I mean, there's a lot of questions about the water. And so we could do that, but maybe we could have, if we're going to do that, I think then there would have to be, this is the topic that we're discussing this week is water with, and we're having Jason. So maybe it doesn't even need to be 2 counselors, maybe it can be you and Jason or me and Jason, whatever. And go just, you could even cruise through topics that way.
Okay,
you know, where
I
it
like
wasn't a, you know, a multiple hour thing, but maybe it was just an hour with Jason and an opportunity to ask questions just on public works for the day,
so kind of topic driven.
topic driven. And if, you know, we do 3 public works meetings, if it's me and Jason drinking coffee, then maybe we, rethink it,
Okay, all right,
something like that.
I like it.
With the
Staff?
Catchphrase of Fridays, the first Friday, other one at work would be a third Thursday, right?
Third Thursday?
That's the only other catchphrase for
That
the.
is the.
Yeah. It's Taco Tuesday,
Talking Tuesday?
taco,
That's
Steve tacos.
That's.
Okay. I think if we had tacos, people would show up. We could have tacos.
We could have talked. Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a suggestion
Anything, please.
on what Mr. Corrigan has been saying. You could expand on that by having a guest speaker or a guest attendance. You could have the chief of police one time. You could have Jason one time. You could have Shelley one time. You could have anybody that you choose for that forum for that month.
I like it. A guest presenter, is that what you're saying, or guest?
Just a guest, somebody who, like Jason, who we know he's coming, we know what day he's gonna be there, he's going to be at the first Friday on this date at this month. And we could prepare ourselves with some questions that we would inundate him with, you know?
Okay,
But, you know, same thing with the chief of police, the same thing with Shelley, our new city administrator, we could just hack it up.
I like it. That's good. Thank you.
And I think that's great. In fact, I actually put a little note in there, where were they on the first Fridays when everybody was asking questions to Shelley and to Jason?
Yeah. well,
Because
that
that's what it was designed for, but if we had the guest speakers, then y'all could come and ask the questions there.
And I think it would draw more, it would
Mhm.
create more interest, it would create more buzz.
So Robert, I need to play devil's advocate, and my apologies, don't take it personal, it's just, I want to create conversation.
Sure.
So we did the first Friday, this last,
Friday.
was it last Friday? Last Friday, and we set it up as a meet and greet to meet the new city administrator, which is a pretty big event for our community.
I would think.
And 2 people showed up?
2 people showed up here and then we went out into the
Well,
community.
we had to go out, I mean, we scheduled it that way because we knew, but all the questions that she had this evening, none of those questions were there that night to meet her.
Well, I had.
And we created the event, we set it up, we advertised
Rocky
it.
was there.
Rocky was there, yeah, that's one of the 2 people that was there,
And I have
thank
it.
you, Rocky.
And I had every intention of being there and it just went.
And I'm not trying to say, I'm not
No,
trying
no,
to scold
but-
anybody,
no, but I
I'm just
understand.
saying, we created the event
Yeah, well,
and,
it will be what it will be. Maybe nobody wanted to talk to Shelley on coffee. No.
but everybody did this evening, everybody was very
Yeah.
gracious about speaking and asking questions this evening that they could have asked last week, right?
But maybe that's why we
So-
put the topic attached to it.
I think Friday's your day, that's your problem day.
Is Friday the day, you think?
Yep, I think so. Everybody at the end of the week, I am done on Friday afternoon. I'm not coming down to a meeting.
That was one of the reasons we talked about. She said, well, it's
Monday or
Friday,
Tuesday.
it's hard to get people to come. I said, well, let's go to where they are. And so we went to the Hill Barn Grill, which there weren't that many there yet. 'cause
Well, it wasn't late enough in the
Was
evening,
dark.
the fire
But we
hadn't started
stopped in the
yet.
businesses and introduced to the business owners along the way. So it was, I met about
It worked
10.
out good.
And I'm not stuck on the day of the week. It could be any day of the week.
Well, I think we chose Friday because there's meetings every other night of the week,
Mhm.
and so we didn't, there was no opportunity to create a whole nother meeting.
Can I change the topic?
No, I
I'd
got,
like to
Jenny wants to
add.
say something.
I think it's wonderful, like it's a great gesture to have the opportunity for people to come. And as you can see, it's always the same people who attend. And so to add an additional burden onto all of our city leaders to have like, whether it's once a month or once a quarter, it's gonna be the same people. And so I think that a newsletter would, because rewinding slightly, a part of this is because there were people complaining like, oh, we don't know what's going on, and how, you know, you gotta feed it to us. So then you try to provide these opportunities and then it's still, so I would not want to see you guys like bend over backwards to come up with something completely new that, gosh darn it, it's, you know, they didn't show up. And so I think a newsletter, you could fill the need of like, okay, you're asking, here's the deal. And I think if you can easily like translate all of the information that came up at the city council meeting or the planning commission meeting, whatever, okay, here it is in easy to digest bullet points, it's out there, you post it, it's there. And so people, you know, people have got to take their responsibility as citizens. Like, if you wanna know, get up, you know, take some responsibility and read it. So I think that a newsletter could like do it. I think it's great to have the opportunity to like to go out and talk to people. And so that's some of the things like we're talking about, like how to get input from the community on these projects and grants and all this stuff. And sort of like go out and meet people where they are. I think that's how you get people there, because you find them and they're, to get people to come here, it's not always gonna happen. So just kind of like brainstorming here and then another like.
No, I'm
side
glad you
one.
are, and again, just my devil's advocate, sorry,
Yeah,
is because we've got a history of this experience, right?
yeah.
So we put a newsletter out there, but there's no discussion in it. So they get information and they interpret it as they interpret it, and then they share information, but they may not have, you know, all the details that go along with that. So there's always that concern is, will that create more misconfusion, or will it help answer questions? Because there's no discussion as part of that. They're just taking in information and interpreting it as they deem. So I like the idea. I'm just trying to figure out how we can manage it, that it's gonna be, that it's not gonna create more problem or more confusion or more,
Mayor, may I?
we wanna create more interest, more,
May I
yes, please,
interject?
please.
If the council directs staff, what we could do is, maybe you have background in this, create a template for a newsletter that we can easily fill each month with summations of discussions from council meetings and other events and relevant information that we can then post on the website and put out to the community. And then when issues or major events arise, we can create a town hall around a subject matter like water or a Doug Brooks type planning meeting or something along those lines, and then create a town hall as needed rather than on a regular schedule, just to fill that schedule with things. That's one option.
No, I like your option, and I'm hearing all of them. I'm just thinking of all that goes behind that. And so a town hall is a great idea. I've been wanting to do another town hall for like 3 years now. And to, you know, to follow up with the water, we did a water town hall, I think it was 3 years ago, and I wanted to do a follow-up town hall on the water. And it's a time commitment from staff to prepare for those. And it's asking a lot to put another task, another burden, and if we were to do that quarterly, that's.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We wouldn't necessarily have a schedule for them. It would be as the need
As needed,
arises
okay.
based on like when you're gonna have a Doug Brooks planning meeting, or there's a major discussion around water development or parks plan or something like that. And there's a need for it versus a regularly scheduled one.
Okay. Okay. I
So
like
it's
it.
topic driven rather than
These are all
scheduled.
definitely good things, and I want to see something, I want to see something work.
Because then that allows the discussion around the topic that people are discussing. And then in the meantime, they're getting regular information.
Okay.
And Mayor, if I may also, that,
Please.
you know, because Jason, myself, we have come to the Friday meetings and it's just us. And it's, to us, it's been productive, you know, for us, but it'd be obviously more input from the community would be great. Having said that, a lot of the things that we do in our staff reports and that I do and follow up to those things answer a lot of the questions of discussion of things that are taking place in each department. So those things are written there. However, from the survey, it's that, yeah, people don't want to read that. I mean, it's there, it's for the public to see. So there needs to be a caveat, and I'm thinking not to to give more to Shelley, because she's kind of already doing it, is with what she just did with that report. That kind of highlights a lot of those things that I would talk about that are in the statute. So just something of that nature, and again, you're saying, it's, people are going, and I've learned this, that people are gonna interpret things how they want to for their agenda, and we can't control that. Nor should we try to, however, it's in that information, and then we can have meetings whenever they are, that anybody that has questions about those things, then they can be answered at whatever time best suits everybody.
Well, my intention is to have those reports monthly, pulling information from the statute account, so assuming we have continued
Right.
things to report. So perhaps that will suffice in the meantime. Or maybe that would draw people's, curiosity, and then they would start to come and want to hear more about what's happening. I don't know.
So the report you presented today was excellent, and it did highlight some things that have happened in the last month, which would be good information. And we could post that presentation on the website, and then it can be seen by whoever chooses to put it on the city Facebook page, so they can also access it there. And then I'm sure Pam would share it to her page, and so it could be accessed there. If that's something you want to maybe start doing, that may be an option for the moment until we either find a better.
I'd rather see it in a different format if it's going to be posted publicly than a PowerPoint presentation, because that's more for this format. So we'd have to think about
thinking
that.
like picking stuff from like the reports and your presentation and stuff, and like making a nice collage of things into what you would.
Like the newsletter
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Yeah. I think if there's just a template, we can just plug stuff in every month. It
Yes.
shouldn't be burdensome.
That's what I'm trying to eliminate.
Yeah,
is
no, 'cause
additional
we definitely
burden.
don't need, extra work for that.
Yeah.
But it is probably important to, that's however you direct staff.
Someone could make crossword puzzles to include.
That would be good. That would be very
Take
good.
an excerpt of this session and post it, like your presentation. You could cut that out of this video and make it.
Yeah.
Good discussion. We'll brainstorm some more.
Okay, all right, so Pam, thank you for your, it obviously has raised a lot of questions. And it's obviously raised a lot of good ideas too in replacement. So I think this is definitely a further conversation to be had. And for council at this time, do you want to discontinue First Fridays at this point? Until we come up with an alternative option and pursue the newsletter?
I definitely think that that's what we should do, but I think that we have to have an outlet somehow, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's as cool as it was as in an idea, it just never functioned well for anybody.
No, I agree.
It's sad to give it up because it would have been really neat, but
Well, it was a good opportunity, it just
Sure.
wasn't.
Wasn't
the
utilized,
right-
or maybe it was
right
just the wrong
opportunity.
day, who
Yeah, it
knows,
was-
but-
wasn't the right opportunity. So with that being said, are you interested in discontinuing First Fridays and beginning on working on a newsletter plan?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, if everyone else agrees, I'd be fine with continuing, because it still seems valuable, like, I don't get a lot of time to like one-on-one with Kay or you outside of these meetings, so like that part is valuable, and we've met some people that I've never met before, like randomly stopping by in the past, and I like the idea of
I enjoy
like
that too.
going actually out if we were going to continue it. But if we want to redirect that energy towards exploring newsletter type options, I'm fine with that too.
Maybe when we incorporate a newsletter, maybe at some point we can also incorporate a First Friday-like event where council members take the newsletters and pass them around the
Yeah.
community,
Okay,
potentially.
yeah,
And that way it gets us out and it gets the newsletter out and the opportunity for questions. I don't know, we'll pursue this. Because it was your idea and I'm kind of pawning it off on you, my apologies. Will you work with Shelley to kind of facilitate the thoughts and the
Yeah.
process to develop what you can? Shelley, are you interested in that as well?
Yep.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
And then let us know how we as a council can support you in this,
Okay.
please. Very cool. I'm excited. I'm really anxious about seeing. Thanks. Are you okay with that?
I think it's great.
All right,
Have it ready
at this
tomorrow.
point in time, Andy, we are discontinuing First Fridays.
Yay.
Pam, I'm so grateful for your dedication, though. We can always count on you. You made it worth coming down here and sitting, hanging out.
It was fun.
I always had a good time. All right, and will you make an announcement on the city page or on Facebook that that's no longer happening, but other communication options are in the works? Perfect. Thank you very much, Angie.
That handles your next item.
Well, it does. There will be no July 5th, First Friday meet and greet, and there'll be no Kay or Mercy Jensen in attendance. And with that being said, we have some new City Hall hours. City Hall will now be opening at 9 instead of 10 on Monday through Thursday, and will be closing at the usual time at 5 p.m. City Hall is still working on Fridays. They're just not open for traffic on Fridays. But if you need anything, you can just call or knock on the door and they'll do what they can to help you out.
Available by appointment.
They're available by appointment. Thank you. Is there anything else from council? Anything else from staff? Robert, is it quick?
It is.
Okay.
So as the newest member of the Water Advisory Committee and my two constituents here, we ask that the first Water Advisory meeting be set for the 19th of this month.
July 19th?
June.
June 19th. Oh. The Water Advisory Committee will not be starting until July.
Okay, so
That's first of
the
this
third Wednesday.
next fiscal year.
The third Wednesday in July then.
Is that Derby Day week?
It is. Which is why I'm questioning it.
Yeah, no, we need to do it before the end of July.
So,
What about the first part of
If I
July?
may, I was gonna reach out to everyone and work on getting a date and
Thank
time
you.
set up. So I can reach out and we can discuss it
Yeah.
via email.
Okay,
so it'll be starting in the next fiscal year, which is after July 1st, and nowhere near Derby Days. Okay? Other than that,
okay,
Angie will be working with you to find a date.
all right. well, thank
May I
you.
get a motion?
I move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.